So the customer journey or customer online buying process, that's very important theory. That kind of very important for us to understand. We call it online buying process or customer journey. In marketing, this is very important because you need to know how your customers are interacting. If you know how your customers are interacting in each of these steps, then you can actually do the marketing in each of these steps so that your customer can find your product, and it helps you to make sure that your customer is buying it. So for example, the first step is problem recognition. Then we have like the next step is information search. Then we have evaluation of alternatives, and then purchase decision and post-purchase behavior. So within these steps, these steps are very important. So for example, problem recognitions represents potential customer can be made aware of potential problem within the content of any web presence, including website, social media platform, or email. So what does it mean? Like when we kind of look into any website, or we can come and face like any kind of product on social media, we know that there is a product exists, and that's kind of like we are considering that there is a product. That's the first steps. And after that, the next step is information search. In this stage, the customer do search engine. So they go to search engine and search for the product. And normally the search engine is very important because they might use the site of manufacturer, dealers, or retailer, as well as review sites, social media. Some argue that it is the facility that is the internet's biggest contribution to the marketing. So the search engine is very important because it ensures that your product is being found. Okay. So the next stage is evaluation of alternative. So first you have problem recognitions. You are seeing that there could be you see the product of a company or brand. Then you do search over the online to see that the website is popping up or not. And if you know that these are the steps, then you can do some search engine marketing, and you can pay for the search, paid search, use those kind of marketing tools to make sure your company websites and is popping up in the first page of the Google or other search engine. Then the next step, we know the evaluation of alternatives. So customer will be looking into the other alternatives. So they're not going to consider your brand only. They'll be looking for other products as well and compare this. And that's the evaluation of alternatives. During this stage, after the comparison of the alternative, they may want to buy, but during the purchase decision stage, what they do after the evaluation of alternatives, during the purchase decision stage, there are now sites where you can compare sites. Like for example, bonkers.ie offer you to compare different electric companies' bill and quotes, and also you can compare the quotes of different insurance. So there are sites where you can actually compare different products, price, and everything, and you can actually decide better based on that. So during this stage, purchase decision stage, the customer may wanted to look into those sites and may wanted to actually make a decision. So if you know that the customer is actually making decision in that stage, so you have to really take your marketing strategy in a way that your company stands fast, because the final decision is going to be made in there. So this is the purchase decision stage, right? And then the next stage is post-purchase behavior. So this is what you do after we buy the product. So for example, when you share, you bought a product, you are happy, you share in the social media about it, or you shared your reviews, you provide some reviews, and that's actually important for companies. So these kind of things happen in post-purchase behavior. So these are the kind of the 3 steps 5 steps we use for online buying process. Then we have some other researcher who use different steps. They suggest a different type of steps, like Dubenast and Lendrevi. They suggested that the customer journey or buying process could be suggested by these steps, where there are a lot of similarities beside for these steps. It's the same similar type of steps, but some of them a little bit different. How they are different? Like the first stage is consideration, which is actually similar to problem recognitions, which we discussed in the last slides. Then search for information, evaluation, and purchase. These are same steps. Then we see that loyalty and recommendation. These are a little bit different name, but it actually they all represents post-purchase behavior. So after you buy, you may start become loyal to a company, and then you may even want it to promote because you are loyal. You may want it to share good reviews and testimonials, and also you may want to recommend to your friends. So those post-purchase behavior is important. So these are the things normally happen. Now I'm going to talk about 4 P's of marketing. How many of you heard about 4 P's of marketing? Okay, very few. So this is very popular framework of marketing, and this is very important. This 4 P's of marketing represents 4 P. 1 P is product, price, place, promotion. This 4 P, what does it says that as a manager of a company, when you wanted to market your product, you need to think about this 4 P. So the first P is product. So you need to think about your product. Then the second P is price. So you have to think about what pricing strategy you're going to take for your product. And the third P is place. Place represents distribution. So how are you going to distribute your product? That's important. And the fourth P is promotion. Okay. So normally when you are thinking about doing a business and working in a company, you can't just come up with a product and start selling it. You have to think about all these different strategies. So product, you have to think about product, and then you have to think about who will like your product and adjust your product for that person. Then you have to take pricing strategies, because you cannot just charge anything. You have to have think about how much you can charge, look into the competitors. And then placing strategies is like how you're going to distribute it. That's important. These are very important because sometimes if the distribution is not good, it can impact your brand image, and it's not good in that way. Then promotion, how you're going to promote your product, those are important. So these four P's of framework is very important for marketing, and this is very important for you to understand. Now I'm going to discuss this 4 P for digital marketing as well, because we are more moving towards some digital marketing. So when it comes to product, for digital marketing, you have to think about the key consideration for digital, from digital perspective, whether your product can or will sell online. So some product you can sell online very easily, like for example books or CDs or like some other things which are easy, digital type of product. But if you wanted to sell clothes or shoes, it's not probably very easy. But at the same time, after the pandemic or during the lockdown, people get used to ordering those things over the online, like clothes and shoes. So you have to think about what type of product you're going to sell online. Either is it easy or easy to use or not. Those things you have to think. Then you have to think about pricing strategy. So and for digital marketing, discount and offers are certainly not new to digital marketing, but the concept of fast price comparison and the introduction of cashback and voucher sites have certainly changed customer behavior. Business can take advantage of this through affiliate marketing programs. And affiliate marketing is where you promote your product through a third-party website in exchange for paying a commission or fee to the website when an action is taken. So for example, if you wanted to sell your product using Amazon sites, you need to give some commission to Amazon. So this is important. And there are also sites like Groupons where you can get things into discounted price. Those are important as well to recognize that how you can actually start selling your product and how much you can charge. So the pricing, thinking about price is very important. Then placing is very important. You may not have a physical shop, but your online shop must be easy to find. So normally when it comes to normal traditional marketing, by placing you think about distribution, how you want to distribute your product. But when it comes to digital marketing, it represents that how easy it is to find your product. For example, you can do search engine optimizations. So search engine optimization is that you design your website in a way that when somebody is searching the search engine, then your site appears at the beginning of the search engine page, so that if your customer search for your product, it should be appearing at the beginning. So search engine optimization ensures. Then paid search, also Google's one of the advantage that you can pay for keywords, and based on if somebody search with your brand or some keywords, your page, your website results supposed to be coming at the beginning in the search. So those are paid search, and there are you can use other digital acquisition channels to make sure that the brand can find your product easily. Now, promotion. One of the challenge within the digital space is that we often have limited space of time to communicate the product promotion. So where a TV adverts or press advertisement may have 30 seconds to get a point across, digital will often have 100 characters or less than 1 second. So this is therefore creates a real need for impact messaging. More importantly than anything else, a test and learn philosophy is very important. So for example, so you want to promote in televisions, you have 30 seconds for television ads, but when it comes to digital marketing, it's very challenging because we all are nowadays, we can see that we are using TikTok, short videos are very common. And what is happening that if a video is not grabbing your attention, it's first 1 or 2 seconds, we just swipe the video, we go to the next video, and the attention that's why your video has to be very your content has to be very creative, very unique, and very attention grabbing, and that's how you kind of make sure that people are watching your content. At the same time, the companies learn to test and learn philosophy, because it's majority of the time you see which content is working or not, and then you adapt your strategy. So these are 4 P's which are very important in marketing. Okay, product, price, place, promotion, and this goes also in digital marketing. Now, brand or perceptual positioning map. This is also very important map to consider. This map doesn't represent about your perception about a brand. It represents a consumer's perceptions, all the consumers' perceptions about particular brand. So you ask your consumer about their perception about the brand, and then you see that there is X exists, Y exists here. We have cheap in one side, another side is expensive. We have sporty and practical in one side. And these variables, you decide what is relevant for your brand. You can adjust, you can modify this variable and have a map like that. And you ask your customers what they think about each of this category, and you put the brand in there. And this positioning map helps you to understand that how your brand is performing compared to the competitor. At the same time, it gives you idea about bringing a new product into the market. For example, if you look into this area of sporty and expensive, we see Ferrari is there, Porsche, BMW, Audi is there. But if you think about practical and expensive area, you see Jaguar, Lexus, Mercedes, Land Rover there. And then in cheap and practical area, you see Honda, Chrysler, Skoda, Ford, Volkswagen there. And then you see that cheap and sporty, in that area we only have Toyota. So it kind of gives you idea that there's not many competition in that area, only Toyota there. So you may want to bring a brand in there, but there's not many competition, because you may, if you wanted to go to other areas, it means that you have to spend more on marketing because there is more competition there. So you need to find area where you can actually target and you can sell with less competition. At the same time, this map is going to give you idea that how your competitors are positioning and how they are doing. So this is very good map for any kind of understanding that how your brand is doing, and you ask your consumer about their perceptions, and based on their perceptions you draw this positioning map. Now I'm going to talk about customer lifetime value. So customer lifetime value is quite simply the value or profit attributed to a customer for their entire life cycle. They can be relatively simple to calculate in some business and incredibly complex in others. So this value, customer lifetime value, this is very important for you to understand how much you should spend for your marketing or digital marketing, because you could be spending quite a lot and later you realize actually spend it so much that you cannot make profit. So this kind of calculating this kind of value kind of helps you to understand how much you can actually spend for marketing. So it will be more clear in next few slides when I'll give you more examples. So here, to calculate the CLTV, it depends on 2 variables. CLTV equals to lifetime, which is number of period a customer remains with you, and then average margin per customer in a period. So the lifetime the number of period a customer remains with you depends on different type of variables. There are a lot of variables, but few of these variable is CRM program, get membership schemes, loyalty schemes, service levels, and there are many more factors can affect. It depends on what business, but these are some of these customer relationship management program type of factors can influence. And then similarly for average margin, you have factors like repeat purchase, return and refund, pricing and discount, operation cost, conversion rate, and segmentations, right? There are more factors which can impact. So altogether, these are all these different factors which is going to impact your average margin as well. So now I'm going to give you an example of super value here. For super value, a super value attracts each customer to his store 3.9 times per week on average, and this customer spend 21.69 euro on average during each visit. We know that the customer are spending 21.69 euro and they are visiting 3.9 times per week. So we multiply it and we saw every week that customer is spending 84.59 euro. So to find out annually how much that customer spent, we can multiply with 52 weeks. So we got 4,399 euro in there. And if the profit margin for each customer is 10%, then the annual profit will be 439, which is 10%. So it means that profit margin for each customer will be 439. And on average, we know that the customer is going to stay 15 years with us. So our CLTV for 15 years will be 6,585 euro. So this is the amount. It's very important for us to understand that this is the amount maximum we can spend in marketing. If we spend more than that, it means that we will not have any profit because we are spending what we're going to make profit from this customer. And this CLTV can be very complicated for businesses. Real business could be very complicated. For some startup business, it could be really simple. So it can vary. But normally, when you run the business, you know that how to calculate. You have, through your experience and historical data, you can calculate, and it helps you to find out how much you can spend for marketing, because you don't want to spend too much that result in not having profit at the end. So you really need to have this kind of calculation in your mind. Now I'm going to talk about few important concepts. Segmentations, targeting, and positioning. These are very important for marketing. How many of you heard or learned about this before? Can I see the hand? So very few of you know about this. So these are very important for marketing. Segmentations, targeting, and positioning. For any marketing, you have to first divide the market into a small group of customers who based on their common needs and characteristics. So what you do actually, you divide the market according to certain characteristics and needs, and then you see that which segments are very important. For example, you may wanted to divide the market based on location, based on country, or based on this or that, this city, that city, or you can divide it based on age. Like you may want to sell it different type of clothes, one towards the young generation, one towards seniors, or different type of segmentations you can target. So segmentation represents when you divide the market into small groups, and that helps you to understand what is more relevant for your market. So once you know that which segment is more relevant for you and how you can actually target them, that helps you. Okay, so first you divide the market what is based on some segments, small groups, and then for the targeting you choose among all these small groups 2 segments or 3 segments or 1 segment what is relevant for your company. That's called targeting. You choose one of these or 2 or 3 to go and sell in there. So that's called targeting. But after you select those segments, you then go ahead with the positioning. So the positioning defined as a value proposition for the target customer, differentiating a product or service from others in the perception of customers. So for example, if I tell you to think about the soft drinks, you will be probably thinking about Coca-Cola and Pepsi, right? So this is what is positioning. The Coca-Cola and Pepsi, they're positioned in a way that when I'm telling you to think about soft drinks, you're thinking about Coca-Cola and Pepsi. And positioning represents that, like, you have to position a brand at the top of your consumer mind in a way that when you talk about that product category, your brand pops up, and you position it in a way for certain things. So you, because of your value, the way you are positioning, it pops up in their mind. So segmentations comes first, then targeting, then positioning. So during the segmentation, what we do, we divide the market into small type of groups based on their needs and based on their wants and based on their characteristics. And then after that, we select which segments we wanted to sell our product. And after that, once we select those segments, we wanted to actually sell and we wanted to position in for that segment. So segmentation is very useful both for organization and both for customers. So for example, for the organizations, it's the identifications of unfulfilled needs, better product design, more targeted promotion, increased customer satisfaction. For the customer is the convenience and time savings, tailored product and service, relevant offers, and personalized experience. So you can, because you actually divide them into different categories and groups, you understand them better. So these are the benefits of segmentations. Now I'm going to talk about different type of segmentations. Like, this is like geographic segmentations. So one of these type of segmentation is geographic segmentation. So if you have an e-commerce website, what is your geographical limit? Do you have the same delivery policy for each country, like EU, USA, Asia? From a digital marketing perspective, it may inform your geo-targeting or data selection for your strategy. So for example, if you are selling jacket, and the jacket could be for winter season, and season can varies based on countries. So in that case, you may need to divide the market based on different geographic locations. And when you divide for different geographic locations, you also need to adjust your marketing for each of these locations, because each of these geographic locations, consumers are very different. So geographic locations are very important. Now, demographic segments. So the demographic segment represents this category like age, gender, education, employment, income, economic status. So if your product is something like that, you are selling different type of product, like some product you wanted to make sure some group, lower income consumers can afford, and some could be really luxury brand. So in that case, you probably need to segment based on income. But if you are thinking about selling the product based on age groups, then in that case, you may want it to sell the product to young groups, or all to the seniors, or to middle age categories. So in that case, you probably need to divide the segment based on age. So you'll be looking into all different kind of categories, and that's called demographic segments. And these segments you need to use based on the relevance for your business, like what is more relevant for your product. For some product, this category could be relevant. For some other product, other category could be relevant. So behavioral represents the buying pattern or user's behavior. So the behavior can change with lifestyle of consumer. For example, life changes because of divorce, children, and retirement. So the buying pattern, like how frequently the customers is buying, other less frequent buyer or more frequent buyer, you can segment the market based around that. Then we have benefit segment. So it depends on customer perceived benefit from a product. So the benefit segments is, let's take the example of a jacket. Why do you buy a jacket? So benefit segment try to divide the market based on benefit. Like for example, if you buy a jacket, you may want to buy a jacket for winter. In that case, you'll be looking for thicker jacket, which kind of helps you against the cold weather. But you may also want to buy the jacket for a style purpose around the summertime. So in that case, you'll be looking for jacket for the style purpose. So you are buying the same jacket, but the same jacket can be used for two different benefits, and you can divide the market into those benefit segments, and it helps you to understand the customer segment, who wants what. So the customer who will be wanting the jacket for the winter season, they'll be looking for one type of jacket, and you can actually design the jacket in a way that will be more appropriate for them, and you will market for more for them, because they will then like it, because you are marketing in a way that this is the kind of product they want. But then at the same time, if the customer is looking for a stylish jacket, then you have to market in the same way that they are wanting. So that's how the segmentation helps. You divide the market into small segments, and then you wanted to sell the product. Then we have psychographic or interest segments. So it represents understand the customer life cycles. So it includes starting activities, opinion, beliefs, and interest. So for example, individual may be environmentalist, vegetarian, bodybuilder, movie lover, or any of the combination of these. So this is very important based on their lifestyle and interest, beliefs. You can also segment it. And you may see that there are a lot of restaurants who are targeting just to the vegetarians, and so there are business according to it. So you have to understand who likes and what product is more relevant for your business, and segment the market accordingly. But it's not only about segmentation as well. There are a lot of things you have to think when you are thinking about segmentation. For example, when you're thinking about segmentation, you have to think about how big is that segment. Is it actually very big that you can make profit? So you have to think about either you can make profit in that segment or not. Also think about the growth rate of the segment. That segment could be decreasing over the time. So in that case, you may not want it to go ahead with that segment, because you wanted to make sure a segment which has better growth rate. Then you have to think about your company fit, your objective of the company, your competencies and resources. Your company could be a small company, and if you wanted to target a big segment, you may not have the resource to sell your product in that segment. So that's important. Thinking about either you have the capability and resource to target that segments. So thinking about, based on that, you can decide which segment is more appropriate for you. Then competitions. It's not only about this, but also think about, is there like competitors' strength, intensity, and resources. You may want to choose a segment where there's a lot of competition. It means that you have to spend more on marketing cost, because there is more competition means more marketing, advertising, and more cost. So you may want to choose a segment where there are less competition. So looking into all this factor helps you to decide where it's best for you to sell your product and market in that way. Now I'm going to talk about persona. So for your persona, you focus on jobs to be done. So for example, customers don't just buy product, they hire them to do a job. So mentioned by Clayton Christensen. Then Theodore Levitt mentioned that people don't want to buy a drill, they want a hole. When I was giving you the example about jacket, I mentioned that you do not want to just buy a jacket. You may want to buy a jacket for winter time to make sure that it helps you against the cold weather. At the same time, you may want to buy a jacket for style. So you have to think about what is to be done. So for persona, we normally look into all these jobs to be done. And now I'm going to give you the example in here where you can see, to clarify you what is a persona. So for a persona, what we do normally in marketing is that we drag the variables of all segments. Like for example, you can see is that for athletic any persona, we found gender, age, their job, passion, fitness, and then marital status, mother of two, extrovert. So all this information we are getting actually from different segments. And the reason we do persona, because when we look into only segments, it's sometimes very difficult. For example, if you wanted to focus on young generation, young consumer segment, in that case, a young consumer segment can vary a lot based on their lifestyle. For example, if a single young person, if they wanted to buy a car, they may look into speed. But if that same young consumer have family or kids, they may want to look into safety when they wanted to buy a car. So all these can vary. Same young segments can vary based on their lifestyle patterns. So there are all different segments can actually define the persona differently. So for example, when you for a companies, they normally have 5 to 10 persona for them to target, and if you go more than 10, it means that it becomes very difficult for the company, because the number of people in each of these persona could be really very few, and it wouldn't be profitable in that way. But at the same time, if you go for very small number of persona, it means that it becomes very generic. In that case, you don't be able to personalize the product very much. So normally companies choose 5 to 10 persona, and then it helps you to understand how to market. So for example, from athletic any persona, what we can see that from this demographic, we can understand how to talk to any. Like for example, when we know her age, and then when we know her political views, we know that through knowing her belief, we can better position our tone and gain her trust. Then we can, by understanding Annie's persona, passion, we know where we might find her and what we would engage with. So that's one of these persona. Then Annie is from mother of two. We can understand that Annie is a working mother, so we know that she has little time and we need to get to the point. And she is also extrovert, so we know that she likes to be sociable, but we must not assume that she is a party animal either. So Annie loves her family first, keeping fit second. She works to live and pursues happiness and health much more than money. So we can see here that when we are dragging all this information from different segments and develop a persona, it helps us to understand the customer better. Now it will be more clear if I show you this video. But before the video, this is one of the templates we normally use to get the data about the customer, like their behavior, needs and goals, their demographics and jobs to be done, and then we can develop based on that persona for a company. So let's watch this video. It will make things more clear. What is persona?
At the most basic level, you should understand the age, gender, and geographical location of your audience, as well as the languages they speak. So we've got A, a 25-year-old male from Texas, B, a 16-year-old female from France, and C, a 32-year-old male from Canada. Already there's quite a lot of variation across this international brand's customers, so we'll need to define the personas a little more. The next step then is understanding why customers are coming to your business and what they expect to find. One of our shoe buyers may have a limited budget and so isn't looking for detailed reviews or information, but just wants to filter the lowest price models. Perhaps another persona type is an aspiring athlete and therefore wants to test out a range of models and benefit from expert recommendations. And our third persona wants a comfortable but stylish shoe for running around with their children, so is interested in the various colours and styles available. Now that you have an idea of who your audiences are and what they want, how do you know where to reach them? Customers are so used to being able to find what they want across platforms and sites that if you're not providing for them, they'll simply go elsewhere. As part of your strategy, you'll need to understand your customers' buying preferences, taking into account if one prefers to shop in store, another favours desktop computers,